hello and welcome to our 5th devlog for the Sacred Acorn here at A Few Dragons. Something one of my friends pointed out to me was that the eyes of the main character didn't feel great. She linked me to a small study and why humans think babies are cute, and their eyes are a big part of that. So I definitely checked it out. I contemplated this for a while and ended up coming to the same conclusion that I can't take the art of the characters any further than I have. I mean, I'm not an artist at the end of the day, I'm a programmer and designer. So the main character emo got a few versions as I got local artists to show me what their vision of the character could be. I went with a version that has a simple cartoon art style with big cute eyes to go with it. It's sort of kind of like anime eyes. She also improved the overall shape of the body and the fluffiness of the tail. All these things add to a much nicer feeling the character now gives the end users. Since then, we've been working on giving the main character a lot of life in her animations. You can see the difference between the old and new here. Something important to us is that even the idle animations for the characters look nice, so an emo is just standing around, she feels there. Not just a sprite on the screen, almost like she's getting bored that you aren't hitting the snakes. My favourite animation for emo so far is the rest animation. It's just so expressive and nice. We are hoping to put more animations like this in, because it just feels so great. It took us a while to find the best import process for the artists to get the art into Unity, but once we found it, it works nicely. So we have a much faster way of getting everything in now, which is great. One of the things that took me a while to settle on was how a player is going to get health back that also made sense with the lore of the game. I settled on using something all creatures have in the Sacred Acorn: essence. When you defeat an enemy, it releases a piece of its essence, which gives you a fraction of a health orb back. I also struggled with whether to use a traditional health bar or this orb system where each hit takes a full orb away from emo. I like the orb approach as it feels more impactful to me, and the player can keep track of how many times they can get hit before being defeated themselves. While on the topic of lore, something we have implemented recently is the quest system. We use something in Unity which is called Xnode. Xnode is a node-based editor extension which you can make your own tools with. We wanted to build a quest system, not a node editor, so this was the perfect tool for us. The quest system design is very simple. Each quest has a series of nodes, and to do the next node you have to be at the previous node that is connected to that. All paths do not have to be linear, which allows for some variance in what the player decides to do. From here, some components were made which allows the engine to disable parts of the map or characters based on if you were before, currently, or after a node in the quest. It works pretty cleanly for the story and world we are trying to build. For the quests, we didn't want them to just be a mission or a waypoint on a map, so they are very loosely put in the world, so it's mostly just a way of pushing conversations forward and unlocking the next sections. You won't have an active quest tracker. This might not be as in-depth as some players are looking for, but we are looking forward to telling the story in this way. We are planning to have a branching story, which was the main reason for implementing this system. We don't have specifics on how many branches we will have, but being this is our first major release, we wanted to keep it on the smaller amount. There is always a possibility that we can change this in the future if it doesn't work out, but we don't know yet and we're just going to see how things feel. The last thing I want to add in this devlog is to talk about the sprite shadows we put in. This might be a bit more technical than some will like, but I'm just so happy with how it turned out. A few people had mentioned to me that the game needed a bit more depth, so naturally I wanted to put in shadows. The first thing I needed to get done for shadows was dividing things between the default height layer and the upper height layer. Things that are on the default height layer are characters, terrain you interact with like bushes, rocks, and vines. The things that are in the upper layer are the canopies of trees, overhanging cliffs, and the higher parts of taller structures. I originally had the tree as one large sprite, but broke this up for the shadow system. This has had the added benefit of being able to switch out the canopy for a few different versions without having to use space in the sprite sheet for the trunk of the tree every time. So I can use one trunk with many different canopies. The shadows of the upper layer get cast over everything on the default layer. and shadows from the default layer only get cast on the background layer, which is things like tiny rocks and the background texture for each area. I am really happy with how this came out and think it looks just great, and I look forward to playing with the system more. Thanks for sticking around while I talk about this project. If you want to find out more, you can check out our Discord, which has the most up-to-date information, as I'm talking to people about the game there all the time. We also have something coming up. We are doing the Dragon Jam, which I'll have a link for in the description. This is a week-long game jam with no judging. It's just there to have some fun. I believe it starts at the end of this month. We will also be doing a public alpha through our Discord in July, so join up and keep an eye out for that. Thanks so much for watching, and don't forget to subscribe and like this video so you can see more devlogs in the future.